Hello and welcome to episode 78 of Speak Free with MattyG. Joining me today, he's been on here before, but I thought I'd get him back on because he's blowing up. He's blowing up. Issa, how are you, brother?
Oh man, I'm good. Always happy to come in here. And was very excited when you told me that you wanted me to come back on. So I'm keen to get into it today, man. I'm excited.
So last year, right? I think it was probably around about this time last year. You followed me. You maybe had 300 followers, something like that.
If that, yeah.
And you've got 16,500 now. You're working for ESPN. You're NRL accredited media. I would say you've probably had the most, the biggest rise out of all sort of content creators, journalists, whatever, that, you know, in that NRL community last year. I think you probably had the biggest year out of everyone. What do you attribute that to?
Honestly, it might be a little bit cliche, but it's just consistency, to be honest. Kind of just chipping away and making an effort to continue growing and learning and, you know, chatting to people who obviously have far more experience than me. And it's honestly, it's been a wild ride. It's probably been a little bit more overwhelming than I thought it would be in terms of kind of what's come with, you know, the success. But it's been an awesome ride. And like I said, still learning and still kind of understanding how the media works and how, managing, a large following of people and trying to do right by them and obviously cover the game in the way that I'd like to. So, it's been a lot about learning and adapting, but most of all, consistency.
100%. You've definitely been consistent. I mean, your page is always sort of one of the first that pops up for me anytime I go on Instagram, and I think it's the same for a lot of people. A few people that aren't content creators that I told that you were coming on again today. They're like, oh man, he's the first. Like, that's where I get all my NRL news from. Like, I see him all the time. Like, even if they don't know you personally, they just like once I show them your and go, yeah, it's this guy. They're like, oh yeah, I know him. But it must feel pretty cool, like, considering you just started it sort of as a portfolio, I guess, as you talked about last time you were on here, of sort of your work for uni, right? And then it's grown this, these legs and sort of grown a life of its own. How does that feel to get that? You're working for ESPN now. What was that call like, to get that call and I guess now be accredited media? What's that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things, and when I came on here last time, I explained that it was just a portfolio for my work, and just to kind of get my name out there a little bit, and then I guess it kind of steamrolled from there. But the opportunity to start with ESPN, it came off the back of, I guess, that consistency and that growing network and base of kind of NRL community that we built over there. So ESPN reached out to me probably, late last year, and essentially said, look, we're obviously a big brand, but we want to build a little bit further into the NRL space. Now, as many would know, Daily Telegraph, Fox Sports, places like this, and to a lesser degree, obviously like Zero Tackle and The Raw, and they've got, quite a well-known presence in rugby league, and ESPN's the biggest sports network in the world, but hasn't been able to fully crack into the NRL as of yet. So that was kind of their pitch to me and kind of what they're wanting to do moving forward. And honestly, I spoke about this last time in terms of wanting to be part of that next generation of NRL media, rugby league media. And this was just the key stepping stone for really. There's established, journos and practices that, every other major platform, ESPN, there's a real opportunity there to really just take hold of the next 10, 15, 20 years of rugby league media. So, I jumped on that as soon as I could. But no, it's honestly a surreal experience. And coming with that, obviously my first year being an accredited NRL media journalist, which is, a wild kind of sentiment to even be speaking about. And I'm honestly truly blessed. But, it was an awesome kind of experience, kind of building into that role. And now things have kind of settled. The season's kicked off. I'm still kind of learning and growing as I go, but it's been very exciting for sure.
Now, with the accredited media, obviously that gets you into the media days that we see on socials, that we see on the news. It gets you into the press conferences. What is that environment like, being amongst other journos that have been in the game for a long time? You're the new kid on the block. Is it a bit daunting at first, or have you sort of just taken that in your stride?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to have a false bravado and say I'll walk in and own the place. I definitely, have taken some time to adjust to it, and I'm still adjusting. It's the start of the season, but look, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, I've got a subtle confidence that, I've worked hard to get to this point of my career, but not being too confident that, I don't need help and support. So it's just having a level head going into these things, whether it's, interviewing a coach before the game or after the game, or chatting to experienced journalists who've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, kind of always being open to feedback. And but look, I can't lie and say it's not daunting. Being the youngest person in the room and not really knowing everyone can be kind of it's a confronting experience for sure. But like I said, it's because I'm so excited about the journey and I just love the potential that this could probably go into. It helps push me out of my comfort zone a little bit, make more of an effort to do networking and, a bit more confident to ask questions that maybe a year ago I wouldn't have asked. So, it's definitely it's a daunting and confronting experience for sure. But it's one of those things that I'm blessed that I'm doing it now. Because, you look at the long-term vision, next 5, 10, 15 years, I want to be a mainstay in these areas of the league.
Yeah, I think it will be. 100%.
Fingers crossed.
You've earned it, man. Now, last time you were on, we talked about was it Hamasi Makasini? And putting it out that he was debuting when he in fact wasn't, which was all thanks to the mole. Has there been any more moments like that where you've put something out there, it hasn't been completely true, or anything that's got you, I guess, a bit nervous to post before you posted it?
Yeah, so off the back of that, and we talk about learning and adapting and stuff like that. That was a really daunting experience for me at the time, because I had only been kind of working in the space for maybe 6 months at that point. I hadn't really experienced backlash from the media off the back of something being wrong, whether it was my report or not. It has happened since then. And sometimes it's off the back of me just not doing my due diligence and making an effort to make the right calls and stuff, which again has all been kind of a learning curve for me. We had a little situation a couple months back. Again, wasn't my original report, but off a player being injured, or reportedly being injured, and that not being true. And I actually had the club reach out to me, give me a call and say, "Hey mate, that's not true," which was probably one of the best things that could have happened, because it helped me to see how my influence actually reaches inside the club, and this particular club person kind of explained that to me, and essentially just said, look, you are quite influential now in rugby league media, and so these reports are very important. And so while there have been moments where I've been wrong, as many journos are, it's again just provided me with such a learning foundation that I can then build off. So since then, I've been able to kind of hold back a little bit more on the reports I put out. There's a lot of stuff that I sit on now, and kind of make sure I get 3, 4, 5 people sometimes confirming it before I get it out. So look, there have been moments since then, but it's definitely not as surreal as it was with that Makasini thing. And look, speaking of Makasini, whether he debuted then or debuted now, mate, he's killing it. So, but yeah, no, there's definitely been moments, but I feel like I'm probably handling those a little bit better than I did probably 6 months ago. Yeah,
and I mean, it's been such a quick, rise for you. So these lessons come, thick and fast, I guess, in this game. But like, honestly, from where you're at, I mean, when you started to where you're at now, it's quite crazy. It's credit to you, because, obviously people are connecting with the things you're putting out. It looks really good too. Like, the socials look really fucking good. And I think that makes a huge difference. Like, I see some pages out there, and I'm not going to, throw anyone under the bus. I couldn't even name them if I tried right now. But some, I see it's good content, but it just doesn't look good. And it's like, that's such an important part, because you got to make people stop, right? In the scrolling. And I think you do a really good job of that. So congratulations on everything. Now, there's some big sort of stories, I guess, that I wanted to get your personal take on, if you're willing to give your personal opinion. Nothing about clubs or anything, but just about some NRL decisions. Taking a State of Origin game to New Zealand, fan or not a fan?
Okay, so and I can kind of see the direction the questions might go in, and I'm glad you asked me because I probably have a little bit of a different opinion to majority. But I love it. I think it's really cool. And it's funny because I've seen New Zealand fans and people residents of New Zealand actually say it's probably not worth it. And from a purely state of origin standpoint, fine. But I think something that a lot of people aren't maybe willing to admit, but the state of origin game, while it is about passion and state and origin, it's also an all-stars match in a way. It's showcasing the best of our game, and the fact that they've kind of changed the eligibility rules has only pushed that narrative a little bit further. It is an all-star game, and there's a reason why it does such numbers, and it's the biggest kind of spectacle of our game. It's because it showcases the best players in our game going at each other. Taking it to New Zealand, I think, is a really, really important step for our game because as much as I guess we shy away from it, New Zealand can sometimes be almost made a second priority in rugby league, even though it probably shouldn't be. I think it's time that we really just embrace New Zealand into the scope of rugby league, and not have it as just kind of this, that we have a team from there. You know what I mean? So, and I think this is an important step in that direction. Now we're kind of moving clubs to, PNG and Perth and blah, 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 but I would prefer a second New Zealand team. So, in saying all that, I think that giving the people from New Zealand an opportunity to see this game live, and not only that, but have that on, as a kind of bucket list thing checked off, I think is a really cool experience. And I think it doesn't really take away from what state of origin is. I've always made a big point of NRL being a TV game more so than a live game anyway. So you're better off watching it on TV. And so I don't think it takes much from the spectacle, the highlight reels and stuff like that. It just gives some people from New Zealand who maybe couldn't afford a ticket to Australia and to an Origin game to watch the game live. And it expands the game a little bit further. So look, I'm not as against it as probably most are. I think it's an exciting thing for sure.
I'm actually not against it. I love it as well. I'm keen to go over there for it. I think it will be fucking mad.
Absolutely.
And I love New Zealand. Like, I'm going over there in a couple of weeks for the Tigers game. So I'm super keen for that. But it actually makes sense to me because like they're going to take the fact is the NRL's always going to take game 2 to somewhere, right? No matter what. They've done it for however many years now. And I tell you what, I'd rather it in fucking Auckland than fucking Adelaide because Adelaide, what the fuck? Who gives a fuck about that place? Like, seriously. They hate us. Their media won't even run advertisement for it. They refuse to. They won't try and sell any tickets for it. So why the fuck are we going to waste our time with them?
Yep.
Put it to New Zealand and it'll be everywhere. Yep. Everyone will be keen as. It'll be the fastest selling Origin game in history, I reckon. I'm putting it out there right now. Fastest selling Origin game in history.
Mate, book it. Book it.
And
then that's the thing. And realistically, like it's they love rugby league over there. And not only that, they're far, like, we Aussies love our footy, but they are just passionate to another extent. Even if it's not for their state, a lot of their favorite players play in state of origin. I think it's awesome. I think it's a really cool way to expand the game, and it interests me that we moved round 1 to Vegas before we moved Origin to New Zealand in a sense, because there's far more connection with New Zealand than there is Vegas to NRL. So no, I'm with it for sure.
Now, in terms of Vegas, I'm glad you brought it up.
Little segue.
Yeah, nice segue. Now, Tigers have been confirmed,
Yep.
right? Obviously, nothing's been put out by the NRL yet.
Yeah, not confirmed by the NRL, but it's been,
But, yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. Look, I think all it took was to get Tigers. Look, they came knocking every year, and Shane Richardson was not keen on it. And I think with Sean there now, he's obviously very keen for Vegas. Benji's very keen for Vegas. Obviously, all the boys would be ecstatic about going. I'm keen for Vegas. I can't fucking wait. Do you think would this be the last time for the NRL to go there, or has it been? What are the numbers you're getting? Like, as a journalist, do you think it's worth the NRL continuing this, exploration into the United States, or is it a bit of a fad?
Yeah, no, I think it's something that they're going to continue. They've seen, whether it's probably not groundbreaking success, but it's definitely it's growing every single year. Now, I think probably one of the issues with how they've handled the Vegas thing is, and you can look at it through 2 lenses, but one is that they probably went a little bit too top heavy from the start. putting in the best of the best teams, and then kind of putting out a product this year where you've got Knights versus the Cowboys, which, you know, no offense to, it was actually probably the best game from Vegas realistically, because Dragons versus Dogs was a slugfest. But
It was a slugfest, but it was an exciting end.
yeah, it was an exciting ending
Yeah.
for sure. I think the Knights were probably the best team though at Vegas. And
Yeah, they really impressed me.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, then that's gonna be a huge talking point this year. But I think that they probably went a little bit too top heavy. I would like to just see every team kind of get their chance in Vegas, so we can start to see a little bit of mix and matching a little bit. I think there are a few cooler opportunities, you know, for, you know, in terms of matchups and stuff like that. So whether that's, you know, Broncos versus Panthers, you know, Tigers versus Bulldogs, or, you know, Para versus Storm. There are some rivalries there that we can really.
Well, Tigers Para's a rival. And
Yeah,
that's
true.
They both could potentially be going next year.
I'd likely say that it would probably be Tigers versus Para.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Do you think the NRL would do that?
Yeah, because I think that originally I would have thought Para versus Storm, but they versed each other in round one quite a couple times over the last few years. So I'd probably say Tigers versus Para, but that's off my own.
Yeah, look,
intuition.
fuck, that makes me very nervous about Vegas already, because that game makes me sick to my stomach, because I fucking hate them so much. If I fly all the way
But
to
that's
Vegas...
what adds to it.
I know, but if I fly all the way to Vegas and we get beat by Parramatta, I hope that plane crashes on the way home. I fucking hate them. But I just, I don't know, because I feel like that's such a, you know, high selling game here, in terms of the crowd numbers that
True.
gets. So I don't know if you'd want to do it over in Vegas. Obviously, it depends whose home game it is for us. It would probably be our home game.
But it would also depend on what Valandis... And I think Valandis has made it clear that his priority... Like, he's quite settled on the state of rugby league in Australia. He knows he's going to get the numbers here. Let's try to get the numbers over there.
Yeah. And it's, you know, look, I mean, they've got countless Easter Monday footage to promote with the Tigers Para, with the Tigers Para game. I'm not against it being there, but I just think, like, I don't know, it's such a good clash, you know, and especially because we play both games at CommBank.
Yep.
Creates that, like, it's almost like a series, you know,
for
like,
sure.
oh, you'll get this one, we'll get the next one,
Absolutely.
sort of thing. But, you know, if they do it in Vegas, that's cool too. It's another chapter in the rivalry. So,
Well, fingers crossed that can also be my first time going to a Vegas game as well, because I haven't been to one yet.
You haven't been,
No,
because
so-
you didn't go this year.
No, I didn't.
Your doggies were playing.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, just on a personal note, thank God I didn't go, because I would not have been happy on the fly. I know we won, but
yeah, it wasn't the greatest performance.
No.
But, you know, it's round one. I need to remind everyone. Also, look, I had Panthers tipped, right? I have Panthers tipped for premiers this year. So this is nothing against Penrith, right? But can I just put this out there to Fox League? The way the commentators glaze certain teams is fucking sickening, to be honest. We're watching that Broncos-Panthers game, right? It was one of the worst NRL games I've ever seen. It was terrible. 18 errors from Broncos, 14 from Panthers. These are two of the best sides in the comp. You know, the fact that Panthers won 26-0 with 14 errors just goes to show how great they are.
absolutely.
But it's also round one, and they're like there's some of the comments at the end of the game were like, and, you know, the dynasty, it continues, and it's like, what the fuck? It's fucking round one, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, yeah, I do think they'll be there at the end, but who knows? We don't know. Like, fuck. Do you think that glazing, for want of a better word, does that come... is that sort of, I guess, encouraged by networks, by broadcasters, or does that just come naturally because they're excited about the game? Or
Look, okay, and perhaps this kind of steamrolls into something else. I was having this chat the other day, especially in Australian culture, like in our culture, we don't like to see, or we don't like to hype certain people too much. We don't like people hype themselves up too much. It's why the Panthers have been hated, Reece Walsh has been hated, and the like. I think that broadcasters probably steer towards hyping these teams up because, well, one, it generates conversation, but as well, it's already a game that we, like, you know, for back and forth for years and decades, and, you know, it's been this whole argument: what is Australia's sport? Is it AFL? Is it NRL? And AFL seems to always win in that argument. by creating these storylines and these huge kind of the dynasty, is it over? Is it continuing? Is Reece Walsh, a one-trick pony? Is Stephen Crichton, all these arguments and stuff. While fans argue in the comments and stuff like that, I think it just generates such a level of hype that probably rugby league didn't have 20 years ago, which I love. I think it's really cool. And so, yeah, I think broadcasters, especially Fox, who obviously are kind of the big dog when it comes to how we kind of represent our game, because they're the ones kind of feeding all the information and the hype and the commentary, and they definitely lean into it sometimes, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, because otherwise it's probably one of those things where it's like you might as well go watch park footy, realistically. I like seeing Nathan Cleary get hyped up and Stephen Crichton. Everyone's talking about Stephen Crichton's aura and his clutch, and Reece Walsh is the best player on earth. And, I love the hype that they kind of feed in, especially, and look, they do pick their favorites sometimes. But realistically, the favorites are also there in September. So, it's definitely kind of, it's become somewhat of a hot argument in rugby league for sure over the last few years, especially since Panthers have blown up. But I personally love it. Yeah.
And you know what? You're right. It does create conversation. I mean, we're having a conversation right now about it. So, yeah. I mean, it's good. And they know their audience, right?
Absolutely.
They know their audience. Rugby league fans are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. And some people, they just, like, their opinion, they're putting it out there no matter what.
Oh, absolutely.
I had,
absolutely.
I just did that thing with Winston for with Common Sport,
which was great, by the way.
That was awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But some of the comments, because like obviously we get told like what topics to bring up, or they like get our take, and I'm like, well, if we're going to do Tigers versus Dogs, like you got to talk about Galvin at one stage, So then they put this clip up, and there's so many comments that are like, still fucking talking about this. It's a whole new year. I'm like, brother, it's clearly a show.
Yeah.
Like, fucking
but it's so, and I love it because it's like, it's almost like, and I was just saying, I'm kind of talking to my little cousins, and I'm becoming old now. But it's almost like rage baiting a little bit, which is one of the younger words apparently. But they're kind of rage baiting people a little bit, where it's like, they know that fans are going to get rolled up about it.
Yeah.
And look, and I say that from someone who works in the media now. I was just 2 years ago, I wasn't even a journalist, and I was a fan. I was a rabid Dogs fan, and anytime anyone said anything about the Dogs, I'm straight to it. I'm probably a little bit more relaxed now, and it's probably the same for you, because you kind of in the media space.
Depends who. If it's targeting a player that I really love,
for sure,
then you'll go for fucking hard on them.
Yeah. Whereas I find that like I'm so much more relaxed now than I was before. But rugby league fans are crazy, and we are all before we work any job or do any kind of content or anything, we're just footy fans, So I was definitely that Dogs fan who was just batting for my team when we didn't have a sponsor and we were just bottom of the barrel. And so don't take the cool facade now, because realistically, I was exactly the same. And anyone talking about one of our players, I'm batting straight for him. So and that's the thing, kind of media knows their audience, and it generates clicks and views and conversation. That's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's fun too. It is fun. I think NRL, like, obviously I'm sort of out of it with AFL. Like, I'm not a fan, so I'm not like, I'm not a crazy fan. I'll watch finals and shit. But I don't know if they have that same, I guess, passion that NRL fans do. And I would say, well, if they do, it probably comes across a bit differently. I think that the game has predominantly grown, I guess, really exploded in Western Sydney. I think makes a huge difference. Because I think there's just a bit of a more filterless sort of society and culture here, which I fucking love, obviously. I'm all for that. Speak free, baby. But I think that adds to, I guess, that, enthusiasm that comes from fans.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just how we are. Like, I think footy from this time of year to October, I mean, it's all we fucking talk about, really.
Absolutely.
Like, you go to work on a Monday, what's the first thing you talk about? The footy over the weekend. Did you see that game last night? Fuck, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool way of, like, of growing the game, I guess, is to have that level of enthusiasm. You know, not just be for the fans. I think it's now fed into the media.
Absolutely.
And with content creators having such a voice in the game now, and to be taken, I guess they're more mainstream. You know, the content creators are becoming that line is being blurred more.
Absolutely.
And I think now, because a content creator, you know, the way to get big really is to be completely authentically yourself, and to really show that passion.
Absolutely.
Whereas I think before, like, broadcasters were a bit more professional. I think now because that line's been blurred, I think that passion, like showing that passion in its truest form, is more, like, I guess, accepted now.
Yep, absolutely.
Or it's just become more mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think kind of depending on what your role is, there's definitely a little bit more leeway to kind of show your true colors or show that enthusiasm for the game and for the players. It's obviously depending, like I said, it depends on what your role is. Like, you'll see certain content creators for certain teams obviously just go to bat for their team, and they're enthusiastic. And I think the reason why clubs and media in general love it is because it kind of wakes up that certain fan base, which I think is really cool and really important as well. You know, like, and as someone who obviously in my kind of profession remain neutral across, you know, when I've got my working hat on, I'm neutral across all kind of boards. But like, I'll do a lot of work like on like social media and stuff, because obviously I'm kind of lucky enough to be a neutral journalist who also has a social media audience. I do try to kind of include different content creators or content, you know, pages or whatever from different teams into my posts or whatever, because that's the way that you do spark up a little bit more excitement and debate, and kind of just get people up on their feet. And I think before, maybe 20 years ago, when you're looking at the media, it was just so it's kind of, you know, one-sided. You know, you're either just reading the paper, you're watching the news, you're not really getting any real passion unless you're at the game and you're chatting to people around you. So no, I definitely think kind of the opportunity for more kind of not only content creators, but just a little bit more enthusiasm and a bit more pizzazz a little bit from broadcasters. Like, you know, there's a reason why footy fans love, you know, Andrew Voss and Dan Janane when they're commentating games. They just come with a passion and almost like, you know, adding to that entertainment. You know, I was telling you, I was just yesterday at the Sharks versus Titans game, and obviously around me it was all Sharks fans who are up on their feet and stuff like that. But if you're just watching the game, there's actually no real pizzazz unless you've got the commentators in your ear, or you got some, you know, rabid fans around you. So I feel like that was a kind of underutilized component of media and you know, I guess the theatrics of the sport before, whereas now I'm really excited and glad to see that, you know, that's kind of being integrated into what the product really is. Yeah,
and it's more of a community vibe now too.
Absolutely.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Before, media was more like a, I guess, authority in terms of they will tell you what you need to know.
Absolutely.
But now it's more like it's more like a community board now. You know, like there's going to be feedback and there's going to be back and forth chat. And it's good to see admins from clubs, admins from media sites or whoever it may be, sponsors include as well, like all getting on board and giving their opinion through social media and keeping that conversation going. Yeah, it's mad to see. Like, all of that helps grow the game. You know, even disagreement and fights in social media and arguments and shit. I think it's all good for the game. I love it. I love going head to head with someone. You know,
I know,
because you're so, like, no matter what, no matter who, like, there's always going to be inherent. But as much as you want to be unbiased in an argument and whatnot, there's always going to be that inherent bias, and you're always going to believe your way's the right way.
Absolutely.
When it comes to your team versus another team. And I love that, you know, it's so funny because, like, even with the thing I did with Winston, there was a lot of points he made that I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. But I was like, we can't agree. We're not going to agree. Like, we got to go at each other here. And I think that is, like, you know, it helps build rivalry. I think in some ways there's a rivalry between every club with each other. Like, I think because everyone as fans remembers a time where that club fucking hurt your heart, you know, like watching them beat your team and that. So I think we have our traditional rivals, but I think, in terms of Tigers Dogs, no one would have called that a rivalry like, a year, 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Now it's a rivalry,
Absolutely.
because of things that have happened, whatnot, but also the fans have added to that as well. And, if it was just the Lockie Galvin thing and it was just the story in the media and no one had any say social media wasn't a thing, it was just a story, it would have blown over. It would have been
done by
the hype for the game, and then that's it, you know. But because there's been that ongoing chat, everyone's got their opinion. There's the fan thing, the whole HOD thing, that happened at the end of the game, all that shit. It's made it very mouthwatering now coming up to this game, and there's pockets of that throughout the whole league, with certain teams and certain players and fan bases and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's huge. I think it's great for rugby league. League now compared to league 10 years ago is completely different.
Absolutely.
Like completely different landscape. And I think it does have the ability to crack into a global thing. I really do. It's just about marketing it right. And it's going to take time, but I think Flanders is doing the right thing. In terms of globalizing the game, I do want to ask you about this because there's been talks that that Flanders wants to take the game to places like Dubai, places like London, I think London's great. They've obviously got the Super League already over there, so I think that makes sense. Dubai, Middle East, all that. Is it a fad? Is it is that just big money contracts talking, or is there any true ability to grow the game there?
Yeah, I think it's almost just like it will become a trial and error thing. Like at the end of the day, Dubai and these Middle Eastern countries, they've got money. They got money to spend and they got cash to splurge. I really like the idea of going over to London and to Europe in general, because obviously they got the Super League there, and the Super League is the second most premium product of rugby league there is in the world, but the gap between first and second is quite substantial. So I think the opportunity to, I guess, show them or kind of reintroduce them to that level of quality in rugby league would be really cool. I say that even though they just beat us in the World Club Challenge, which thanks Broncos, but but no, like I think it's a really cool opportunity because that is how you expand the game. I think that giving people from London and UK and Europe the opportunity to kind of even potentially one day have their own NRL team there, would be a massive kind of boost, because you're not introducing something completely foreign to them. They do have somewhat of an understanding. In terms of taking it to Dubai or to other countries like that, sure, fine. If you got the money to do it, I guess. I don't know how much it's going to really boost you in terms of ratings or even kind of growing the game over there. But I guess it's one of those things where at the same time you've got certain massive kind of markets like America and the like, who already kind of have their sports kind of cemented. So if your goal is to just kind of fill in the gaps somewhat, I guess it could potentially work. But I'm a lot more excited about going over to Europe and doing some stuff over there, because I think there's actually a genuine kind of audience and some consumers there who will really buy into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think look, especially England, France, that makes the most sense.
Absolutely.
And I would love to, let's do back-to-back Tigers Vegas next year and then London the year after. Let's go. I'd be keen as to go over there.
Absolutely.
I think that makes sense. But yeah, I do also think a little bit of it is a little, it's at the end of the day, a lot of your audience is going to be people who are traveling. And I think that's pretty evident with Vegas, is that a lot of it is traveling people.
Absolutely.
And it'd be interesting to see how many people travel over if it's, say, two of the teams from the first time they went, say if it's Roosters Rabbitohs, and they take that game over there. How many fans are going to go again? Is it a one-time thing? Do fans travel? And then if fans don't go, can they fill those seats with Americans?
Yes. That's a great point. And I think, look, and the NRL kind of put out these little clips and stuff of showing the sport to the Americans and stuff like that. And I think that's all well and good, and you might snag maybe 2%. of whatever audience you show. But you've also got to kind of think from the standpoint of, if someone from, whatever country comes over here and shows me a clip of a sport on their phone, I'd say, yeah, that's cool. And then anyways, I'm going to go watch the footy.
Yeah.
So
it's not good. Exactly.
It's, but I guess like you don't know until you try. I think it's got to be one of those things you bite the bullet and just do a mid-season Vegas game or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or, just find some kind of avenue that you're going to see test the market. And I'm not saying do that now, but maybe in about 2-3 years when you've kind of really just cemented your place in, we go to Vegas, we go to blah, 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 do a mid-season game and just see, because at that point, people from Australia can't fly over there. And it's, high risk, high reward. It's one of those things. So, realistically, like, it's cool that they're doing it in Vegas. And I do like the idea of globalizing the sport. But at the same time, it is mostly just our fans going over there.
Yeah. All right. Now I want to ask you your predictions for this year. Try to be unbiased. But I will ask you about your doggies. How do you think they're going to go this year?
I think the Dogs play finals this year. I'm not as sold on a top 4 finish, although if they can figure it out in terms of like the spine and the halves and stuff, I definitely think they're a shot. I'm going to say top 8, and I'm going to say they win their first finals game this year. Their first one in, I think, 10 years, something like that. So, yeah, definitely make the top 8. I'm not too sold on the top 4 at the moment.
Yeah, top 4 is a hard one. It's hard to pick this year. I had Melbourne missing it, but then they killed it on the other night.
Well, the funny thing is I had Para making it, so...
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I. I tipped Para against Melbourne.
Yeah, so did I.
I was like, surely this streak's got to fucking end at one point.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah, fuck. In Vegas. Maybe Tigers. Maybe a Tigers Melbourne.
Mate.
Could we do it? Imagine we're the ones who do it. Fuck. Yeah, look, I think Dogs will go well. I do have Use, at first I think I did make a prediction that Use would miss the 8, but I don't think that anymore. I think Use will scrape in.
Yeah.
But it's getting closer every year, I feel.
Absolutely. Well, there's quite a couple of teams from outside the 8 I've got making the 8, so, and they can't all fit in.
Yeah, it's hard to pick. Yeah. How do you think my Tigers are going this year?
I think this will be your best year since the last time you didn't win the Spoon. Other than last year, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
But I think you do well this year. I don't think you make the 8 yet. I think you still got one more year at least to go.
Killing me, brother.
I know what your prediction is.
I'm sold on it.
I don't think the Tigers are making the 8 yet. I think you just got one more year to go. I've probably got you between that 9 to 12 ish. It more so has to do with the fact I think Adam Dewey's the best halfback at your club. But I'm still I haven't seen enough of that duo yet to really make a solid kind of decision. Because like I said, I've got quite a few clubs from outside the 8, coming in. I've got the Dolphins coming in. The Rabbitohs are going to be a shout. There are quite a few clubs that I think will be kind of knocking on that door. Parramatta, obviously. So no, I've probably got you guys 9 to 12 at the moment. But if at the same time, every year there is a club that kind of makes that leap. If the Tigers can figure it out this year, because on paper, you've probably actually got a top 8 side on paper. But as we've seen time and time again, it's consistency and chemistry over everything else. So, I probably got you guys 9 to 12. But look, at the end of the day, there needs to be a club that makes that jump. So we'll see.
Do you think Hamasi Makasini will get Rookie of the Year?
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So, and I'll do a quick plug before I do it. So if you want to keep kind of on track with all the best kind of prospects and stuff, head over to espn.com.au. We do an NRL big board. At the time of recording this, I've got Hamasi Makasini as the 3rd ranked prospect in rugby league at the moment, of all young players.
Who's above him?
Cooper Byers number 2 and Kobe Black's number 1.
Okay.
And Mitchell Woods is just below Makasini. So that's how you know I'm not being biased. But to be fair, I'm working on the next edition of the big board, and I'm probably got Makasini moving up. If not next week, definitely the week after.
Was that last done prior to preseason games being played?
So the last big board we put out was after Makasini's final game, like as in the trials. So he did quite well in the trials. So he started the year at 4, now he's at 3. In saying all that, I think the race is between Bai and Makasini this year. Cooper Bai is the most NRL ready. I'm quite solid on that. I think that he is the most built for NRL right now. Makasini is the most talented, probably outside Mitchell Woods, I'd say. I think the race is going to be between Makasini and Bai. I don't know who wins out of the pair of them. Like, I just think they're both that good. I don't think Kobe Black or Mitchell Woods get it this year because I don't think they're going to come in until later in the year. It's a very tight race. So I don't know. Right now, I can't make a call right now. It's going to be Makasini or Bai. It's going to be one of them for sure.
I'm very excited to see my dog play.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
In saying that though, Makasini is the most impressive prospect right now, like by far. And it's the one I'm most excited about by far. So I need to make that clear. And I'm definitely not picking Cooper Bai over him to win it. I just think you've got just pure talent and highlight real potential with Makasini versus just straight NRL ready with Cooper Bai. That's going to be a very interesting kind of battle throughout the year for sure.
Yeah, I'm keen to see it. Who do you think we'll be seeing come October 4th, I think?
Yeah.
Is it? October 4th? In the grand final.
I think the Panthers find their way back there. I just can't, like, realistically, I don't know how you look. I know they didn't make it last year, but that was such a kind of spanner in the works, realistically. They're such a good side. And, like even, earlier last week, got the chance to go over to Panthers, Center of Excellence and chat to Dylan Edwards. And just the way that they kind of discuss and talk about this. And it's almost just like a known thing there that it's just like, we obviously fell short. Let's just do it again. There's no panic there. They're not hitting any panic stations. It's just like, business as usual. For the first time, we're seeing a well-rested Penrith Panthers for the most part. So I've got the Panthers there. And then for me, it's probably between... There's too many teams. Like the Roosters, I'm probably not as sold on as I was. The Dogs, I think, will be in and around there. I don't know if they make the grand final this year. I'm probably going between the Broncos and the Sharks, to be honest. I really like the Sharks this year. And this is coming off the back. We just watched the Titans versus Sharks game yesterday. Braden Trindle just looks like another beast this year. And chatting to him after the game, he came out and he said, "This is the fittest I've ever been. I've never come into a season this fit before." And you could see it yesterday. So I think the Sharks. Look, you know what? I'm going to go Panthers Sharks. I'm probably going to go Panthers Sharks. But it wouldn't surprise me if Broncos kind of get it all clicking by the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go... Look, no teams really impress me a heap. I mean, it's only round one, so it's hard to say. But I did pick Panthers from, late last year. I said I think they'll be back there. So I do think they'll be in the grand final. Will they win it? I don't know. Look, I think if they make the grand final, I think they're probably a good chance.
Yep. Well, their track record.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking brilliant. I really don't know who is going to be versing them, though. No one's really been a standout so far. And a lot of teams that I thought were going to do really well really did fucking terribly in round one. So
absolutely.
I think Bunnies, if they're firing, could be a threat. But I think they're missing a couple of key positions.
They need that 7.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to at the end of the year, I think they have good enough team to put wins together to make the 8. But I think when it comes down to those real, down to the wire moments, say in a finals game, I don't know if they have the clutch there. Yeah.
But don't worry, Bunnies fans, because you're about to get Payne Haas, so it's okay anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a practice year anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, some wild things. Yeah. Any exclusives that you can leave my audience with at all that that hasn't been announced yet?
That's a good question.
I suppose this is going to come out in a week and a bit of time, so it's hard to say.
Look, there's probably not much. I know that we've got obviously a lot of Tigers fans kind of watching, and look, I can't kind of just drop anything major right now. We did have a little chat before, but I'd expect a Dream Buller decision to be made soon. I think that he's got multiple suitors coming after him at the moment. Now I know that he loves the Tigers, but I do know there's some mutual interest with other clubs as well. So I'd expect a decision to be made soon. I don't know by the time this comes out if that will be made yet. But I will say that there are some clubs that probably haven't been mentioned in the media that are definitely keen on him. So yeah, your fullback is highly sought after at the moment, but I expect a decision to be made soon.
And for God's sake, Jareem, put Fnatic out of his fucking misery.
Yeah, if not for you, do it for Fnatic.
Yeah. We have like a running joke that the reason he hasn't re-signed is because he keeps posting that like post Jareem every day. Yeah. I'm like, that's the reason he's not re-signing, bro. You're pissing him off.
He wants to see how long you can go.
Brother, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing it. I'm keen to see what you do this year. It's going to be a big year, and plenty of footy to come. We're only in round one, is not even over yet.
No.
I mean, by the time this comes out, round 2 would have just been played.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully Tigers had a big win at Leichhardt. But yeah, hopefully it's a good year for both our teams, and a good year for both of us. So
Absolutely.
bring it on.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
And remember, guys, speak free with MattyG.